Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, good time of day, whatever it may be for you, and welcome back to the LAMDA log. Getting back into things. I got a little behind this weekend, so I'm filming this on Monday, the 16th, but this is for Wednesday. Womp womp. Hopefully I'll be able to catch up sooner rather than later. Yeah, I might do 2 days depending on how quickly I can do this one. So this is week 8, day 3, Wednesday, the 11th of March, 2026. So I got to school early so that I could practice my acting through song that I performed today. Today is in Wednesday. And yeah, felt decent about it. Felt good. Then went to artistic development where we reviewed our what I don't say homework and what we came up with. We went over the script by starting with saying the don't says and then the do says by literally saying I don't say blah blah blah, I do say, and then whatever the line is. And then after speaking it technically before they read through it, trying to absorb the unspoken. This is an exercise, and it isn't necessarily it isn't necessary for every project or line, but it can really help you know how to color your lines with intention and layer your performance a little more. So then instead of saying like I do say, I don't say, you just said what you don't say, and then you said what you do say, and then went a step back. So we just jumped ahead a little bit. And so instead of just trying to absorb the subtext, they went back and said, instead of saying I don't say, I do say, you just say like I hate you, I love you, or whatever it may be, or vice versa. And then repeated the lines, if not fully embodied and committed. So try it again. And then they went in pairs to do this and only did like a page at a time. And so it's like 1, 2, 3. I think it's only 3-page scene, maybe 4. So my partner and I didn't do it. But when does it work? It helps you to get under your why of your why your character has chosen these specific words. It's not really necessary when the words that are said or unsaid are similar or the same when honest things are said, because there's no subtext. It's just what it is. Pair took a page at a time. Oh, fun fact. Ollie's friend, Will Ellis, is the voice of Siri. And he went to LAMDA at the same time as Ollie. And he was able to buy a house from the Siri job, but that was just a fun little thing because his phone accidentally went off and he was like, oh, you know what? That's actually my friend. I was like, huh, of course it is. Ollie is a man of mystery. But where does it work? Where doesn't it work? Or where don't you need it? So we get enjoyment from getting into someone's inner self and the humor of the juxtaposition, because a lot of people's what don't I say were really funny, and we were trying to figure out why it's always funny. But holding on to thick subtext through a show and letting it build until someone says what they've been building up to is really entertaining. And then really land the thoughts in the subtext. You may not want to play it like that, but it really reveals the inner life and hinterland, which is like an inner life. It's what's unshown. Exposition. We don't accept bad exposition in modern media, modern drama. It needs to be revealed well, or it's poor writing. And even in Shakespeare, it's and the classics, a lot of the time there's like really straightforward subtext, not subtext, exposition. And so in modern writing, we can't stand that. But what do we know from this scene? right? And so we saw all that we were able to. You see that fuzz? I guess it was over there. What we're able to devise from just what's spoken. And then we see that Joy's line about delivering that they haven't been dating a long time is hid with action and character purpose. And how can we hide exposition within action or other tactics? Exposition as evidence. Subtext isn't always played a lot of the time. Isn't always played. A lot of the time the mask comes up and we read. We need to ask, what do people hide versus what can't they hide? And then our homework is we're going to write a 2-page max scene with our partners. I'm going to sneeze. Maybe not. And then that is about, it needs to have an inciting incident, and the midpoint kind of known as, in this scene in From Happiness, it's I just want to make you whole again. And the perfect idea of a midpoint is the moment that Truman realizes he's in a television show, or realizes that his world is fake, which is exactly at the midpoint of the movie, down to the minute, which is fascinating. But the subtext, what the scene is and what's going on, relationships. And then, and then we had Spanish dance. And once again, I just don't have a lot for you. I'll see what I can do really quickly. But, oops, that doesn't show my feet at all. And the feet are quite important. Okay. Do I remember anything? Oh, yes. I do remember something. Okay. Your arms come up like this. They flip up. They come here. And then these come down. And then you go into the bowl shape. And then it's unsure about what we'll do with that. But then we bring it down. But you always kind of want to have your chest. And there you go. And then we do some other stuff. Yeah, that's the gist of it. I'm gonna learn it well, and then I'll film and I'll put it on here. But it's not sticking in my head very well. But we started working on the actual choreo that we're gonna do in The Gentleman of Olmedo. So that's cool. And then we have our combat, and I'm going to attach a video because we just reviewed everything we worked on, and I got permission from my fight partner to put that on. And then during lunch we had a U.S. showcase meeting, which I got a ton of notes on. So let me just break into that. So Kim Wintle is in charge, and Kim is the U.S. showcase producer, but won't be in person because she's going to have a baby. She will eventually pass it on to Kelly, who will work as like the on-site producer. But Kim has worked on Showcase in some way 9 times. And the general overview is this is for those who can work and travel to the US at the time of the showcase, not just if you will get it, the ability afterwards. You have to be able to go during it. This is my year, even if I'm doing the MFA. So I'll do the showcase in September or whenever it is and say, hey, I just won't be available till April. And then you can do LA and New York. But for the MTs, they only do New York, which kind of makes sense. Kind of stinks, but at the same time makes sense. And then better to say you're in and then drop out than vice versa. Like say that, hey, I want to do this and then drop out, instead of like last minute being like, oh, I want to get in, because there's so much planning that's involved. There are important deadlines. Pay attention. The time is very tight. There are a lot of people to show. 1 hour for acting showcase, 45 minutes for MT. The LA dates are October 20th through October 22nd, but you want to be there by Monday so that there's no flight issues. I should get my tickets. And then stay through Friday. So just in case someone wants to meet with you, you can be like, yeah, I'm available. And then the dates for New York City is Tuesday, the 27th through the 28th. And so once again, get there a day early, stay a day late. And you want to do the same scene in LA as New York City, just because it'll keep it simple. Start looking for scenes now. The UK showcase will be September 23rd and 24th. The M show and the acting show is separate. But in New York City, tickets are tight, but industry is priority. We can invite friends and family, but they may get bumped if there's industry people involved. So in LA, it'll be at the Matrix Theater in West Hollywood, and New York City will be at the Chain Theater. Email Amy if you have any questions. Apply for graduate visa immediately when you can, because it takes usually 2 to 3 weeks, but sometimes it goes till 8, and you cannot travel out of the country when you're waiting for your visa. So you need to apply for the visa while you still have time left in your current visa. Expedite it if you want, if you're worried, but the expedited price can be £500 or £1,000, and the fees are already £1,500, so it gets quite expensive. Toby will direct the UK showcase for the Ds. Timing will conflict with classes for the F portion of the MFA. Scene should be about 2 minutes. 3 minutes is top. It can be from TV, film, or stage. Classical can be a great way to stand out sometimes, but typically stage scenes are written better, they've found. Once you find some, you'll give Ollie 3 to 4 options and then get them approved. Sometimes they're overdone, or multiple people brought them or something, so you might get one of them rejected, but you can make subtle changes to make them make sense. Cutting is easier than adding. The MFA can apply for a graduate visa a month after courses finishes, because you need to have your full grade, because you can't get your graduate visa and then not have graduated. So you need proof of passing the course. Know your your piece by July, working it by August. Right when we finish Shakespeare on the 2nd of September, Toby will start working with us. When the visa goes through, it starts working. I will have 18 months on my graduate visa. So the people who are graduating in 2026 and start their visa have 2 years, but we have 18 months, which ends up being about the same, or whatever. Duologues are the recommendation. Just do them. People say, sometimes people have a reason to do a monologue and they'll let you do what you want, but they advise against it. If you're doing like a 3-person scene, it's not worth it either usually. But everyone goes once, unless there's an odd number, then Ollie will choose who gets to go twice. Invite your own industry contacts through LAMDA representation, so that they get they know who's there and everything. Props and costumes will be our responsibilities. No need to bring headshots or resumes. That's all digital now. There's also a digital showcase. And email. I was supposed to email someone to make sure I was on the list. I did. I have not yet heard back. I just want to make sure I'm on the MFA program. I think I am. 6 weeks out is when LAMDA starts inviting. 3 weeks out is a good time to invite industry people, because I know so many of them. Wonderful. So then we had accent with Jess, and we asked what we would be interested in learning. I said Scouse. Oh, I'd love to do Scouse, which is the accent from Liverpool. Liverpool. But also people mention Scottish, Irish, Welsh, Australian, Russian, South African, Spanish, as some examples. We want to learn our process for how we learn accents. We will, when will we use specific ones? Really think about that. You've got to listen to more than one person. Then what do they all have in common? We listen to Nicola Adams, who's a boxer, an Olympic gold medal winner, and she's from Leeds. And what's the hesitation sound that she has? And it's not very distinct, but their language is fairly direct. They repeat things more than put in fillers. But it's got this. If I'm from Leeds, I just will repeat what I'm saying, and it's just this kind of not like Americans, or like in Spanish. But there's no harm in re-listening or slowing down a resource. Then we listen to Josh Warrington, and he really was driving forward on the same note and repeats words. Make sure to get the release in the jaw. I kind of get all right. Yeah. I kind of force it. Right. Leads. I'm much different way. A much different way. I don't know. I'm not great at it. 2 listening methods for home: more listening and immerse yourself in the sound, right? You always want to do it, but it's like a zoom out. There's the verbatim technique where you take a minute of continual speech with headphones that you can't really hear yourself, and then you follow them as closely as you can with a half-second delay, and then you just kind of try to repeat it and focus on what they're saying and not you. And then there's another one is you listen, and then when you find a nugget, you like go back and repeat it. Get something to sounds. Get used to the sounds. And so our homework is to do one of those listening techniques. And then we had acting through song. Weird. And so it's Graham and James, and it's our last class with Graham. Graham, for these last 2 weeks, is not going to be there, so I don't know who's taking over. I saw him once, and someone was like, "That's the guy," but I don't really remember. So the first person, they had gone yesterday, and they finished up their time of "My Body Wasn't Why," and she finished her time from yesterday. People get a lot of the time people get seduced by the melody of a song, but we need to keep our intentions alive. Then the person who was doing I Read from Passion was able to go again, and such a difficult accompaniment. It doesn't help her at all. And then until the material is completely secure, how can you fully inhabit it? And with a difficult song like this, you need to chunk it, find emotional moments, and also marker points to get back to. So like if you get off or whatever, and then where were you able to work on it with the music, and what the technical parts to the song are. So it was still a little rough, but she's brilliant, and her acting was great. And then I went and I sang "Come Up to My Office" from Parade, and I really needed to push the tempo a little more. Just as it builds, it's like, "Come up to my office, there's a couple of things you might like to see. Come on up, come on up. Why don't you come up to my office about 2:15 till 2:45?" And then it goes into the next verse. "Why don't you come up to my office?" Speed it up a little more. And then, "I got this new dance that they're doing in Manhattan. I'll get you dancing like you've never done before. And I'll give you things that they send me from Manhattan. And if you like, well, I've got more." So like build up the tempo and then drive it forward a little more. And then start as a charmer, up the charm, up the charm, and then at what point can you switch and go crazy, and where does the mask fall? And then for me, it was on the line that, and if you like, well, I've got more, and but I kept messing up the words a little bit. I thought I had them, but I didn't as well when I was working on it. And then the next person went and did the Miller Sun. Beautiful. I need to see Little Night Music. But this woman's raw, but until it's really solid on the words, it's hard to put the fire under it. And she practiced the big note, so not to back down, and walked around while doing it and just kind of released and nailed it. It helped her release from the tension and the worry. And then the last person did the Gifts of Love from the Baker's. I wrote the Baker's Love, but it's the Baker's Wife. And then had her work on the trouble part and gain confidence. And then there's a little lyrical mistake. To him, they'll seem my gifts was maybe an older draft or something, but it sounded like to him, they'll see my gifts. And so instead, they changed the words to him, they'll seem like gifts, just to fix it. And then the last class of the day, we had mouvement. And we stepped in the circle. We explored float, light, indirect, sustained. And we explored flick, light, indirect, sudden. And so the way that we explored this is we explored them physically and with words, with full body gestures that grew and then shrank as we were just moving around the room, experimenting with these feelings. And then we started big and went down to a pedestrian level and taking a look at archetypes, not Chekhov's archetypes, though there may be some connections. Archetypes are relatable to everyone, not specific cultural groups, right? Like if I was doing an Appalachian redneck, that's not an archetype. That gets stereotypical, not archetypal, but something like a child. I thought, yeah. So for flick, I thought of a child popping bubbles. Felt like flick, right? So it's light and indirect, but it's sustained. It's constant. And then float. Also people mentioned paranoia, peripheral movements, frivolousness, I think is what I meant to write, but I wrote frivolousness. And then float is like young lovers, dreamer, idealist, stoner, intoxicated. Vacationers, grounded, dancer, graceful, contented, quick and confident, self-assured. Complete lack of ground is also a way to think of it. A sage, the friar, the Lord of the Ring elves, they float. And then Inessa, I believe, who I think is the author of the book that we base this on, writes that flick likes novelty and never sticks to one place. Frivolous, harmless, chaotic. No, it doesn't make lists or isn't very punctual, no end point or destination, but not entirely flippant. And then I was trying to get to the new works performance that one of our students wrote a play for, and then the D2s were performing, which I was able to, but I kind of rushed the ending because we did step out. But I was like, it starts at 6:30, and it's this class gets out to 6:30. So that was that. Pretty good. Enjoyed it. Good time. And that is Wednesday, the 11th of March. I will attach that combat video to the end of this. But besides that, have a wonderful day. Lots of love. Bye.
All right, lock in. Let's go. can barely keep up. It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground.